What's up, you guys? I'm here at Team Symmetry, here to bring you guys the next episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Yu-Gi-Oh! And as I promised you guys, this one was going to be on Chaos Dragons. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I am feeling a lot better. Thank you to everyone who, really just, sent me well wishes. That really means a lot to me. All kidding aside, it really means a lot to me when, people I don't even know want me to get better and, they care and, it just means a lot to me. So thank you guys for that. So I'm a lot more excited when I do these episodes. Anyways, we're going to get into Chaos Dragons. This is just one of the variants of Chaos Dragons I was testing a couple weeks ago. As you guys can see, like things like Main Deck Reaper was something new I was trying, and other things. I haven't really changed it that much, but I'm here to talk about what's good, what's bad, and the Yu-Gi-Oh part of this deck. So I'll start with the basics. Well, what's good about it? Light Pulsar Dragon is freaking broken. Let's be honest. When it dies, you can just get your red MD. You can get a Dark Flare, and you can just like start your combos all over again. When you have red eyes and you have Pulsar, it's basically like game ending because it just like destroys your opponent. Like they can't really get over so many big monsters, and I feel like that's really good. What also broken about it is that you can really set up for Dark Arm really easily. You use your one Eclipse Wyvern and it really does combo well with the deck. Usually when you drop Chigodia, your hands are big and you just have a lot of synergy with the monsters in this deck. As you guys can see, there is 2 MST in here. That is some back row removal in addition to your 3 Lila and your 3 Raikou, because I feel that Raikou should be used to hit problem monsters like Set Spirit Reapers and other cards like that. Other things that are broken about this deck is Card Trooper works amazing with Tragodia. If you summon it turn 1, mill 3, and your opponent knocks into it, you draw a card and drop Tragodia. It's 600 points stronger. That works really well in your advantage. Other things that are amazing about this deck is that you can use your 1XYZ King Queen Dragoon Djinn to get your red MD and your other combos off too. It's really amazing. This card does a lot of work. Like you can summon this, you can banish this, or banish the dragon that you bring out with it to bring red MD out, and I think that that's amazing too. This deck was really broken back when Future Fusion was around because Future Fusion was like an auto win in the deck. But these days you play the deck a lot differently. Like a lot of things haven't changed that much. Like you can do red MD and you can still get all your combos off, and you have the tour guide engine, so it works really well. And I think that the deck is really solid with a lot of these cards. I feel that Light Pulsar Dragon was probably the card that should have been limited. It works. It just opens up so many plays. Its ability to be summoned by banishing 2 or dropping a light and a dark from your hand is just broken. And Dark Flare is also great. Its effect is really great. A lot of people forget about its effect. It's really good against the opponent if they're playing a deck that relies on the graveyard. Banish their monsters and have control of the game. You can combo it really nicely with your Wyvern to get your red eyes or your Dark Arm out. Of course, the deck is broken because you can drop BLS and you can drop Chaos Sorcerer. I think that adds a lot of synergy to the deck. And the deck overall is just really solid. I feel like that's what makes the deck good, is that you're dropping big monsters, you're clearing back rows with Lilas, Raikous, MSTs, and Heavy, and you're just pushing really hard against your opponent. And what's really broken about this deck is, since you do run 3 level 10s, as you guys saw my picture today on Instagram and on Facebook, you can summon this bitch. The Birthday Candle, Super Dragnot, Rail Cannon Gustav Max. This card is ridiculous. If it attacks and you deal damage, it's 5,000 in one hit. It's not really going to happen that much, but you do have Tragodia, you do have Red MD, so it is possible to make this card. So that makes it really broken. Okay, so now what's bad about this deck? So what's bad about this deck is sometimes you can get really clumpy hands. You can get hands with Pulsars and Dark Flares, a dead Dark Arm, dead Chaos monsters, and you can just literally not draw anything. That's one bad thing. What's also bad about this deck is that it loses to cards like Level Limit Area B, it loses to cards like Macrocosmos, Dimensional Fissure. All these cards do hurt them. Now, you would think, I have a lot of, back row removal through Lila and MST and Raikou. Well, the thing is sometimes you just don't draw it. Sometimes it just doesn't happen. And I feel that that's one thing that you do have to take into account, is that sometimes you just don't draw those ideal hands. So I feel that that's what can make Chaos Dragons a little inconsistent. Also, people would say this deck automatically smashes Rescue Rabbit. That is true for the most part, except for the fact that people are running Macro Rabbit these days. And if they flip Macro Rabbit turn at the start of the turn and you don't have a Lila, an MST, or a way to get around the Lagia and the Macro, you're going to have a really hard time because a lot of your plays are not going to go off. Your Troopers are useless. All your monsters in hand are pretty much useless since you can't get anything to the graveyard. So I feel that that's where the deck can suffer a little bit. Also, I would say what's bad about this deck is that people do use electric virus, and they can take your dragons and they can turn them against you. I used to do that when I was running rabbit. I would side electric viruses for the pulsars, the red MDs, everything, and I would just take their monsters and I would use them against them and beat them down with their monsters. So I feel like that's one thing you have to be very careful about, is that this deck can lose to electric virus, that this card can really hurt the deck a lot. You know, it's great in the mirror match, but in this match it can be really devastating. Kaiku as well. Like, you see this in the side, like, this is interesting. Like, I sided Kaiku, like, when I was running Chaos Dragons for the mirror match and for Dark World. Kaiku single-handedly will destroy this deck. If you can remove their monsters and leave them with nothing, they really are in a losing position. And I feel that that's where the deck can really suffer. But other than that, like, people say Chaos Dragons have fallen off the map. I really don't think so. I feel that they're just as good as Agents. Agents are a little bit better because Hyperion is able to deal with this deck. I forgot to mention that. Hyperion is a 1-card out to this deck, because if you have Pulsar and Red MD, they can just summon... They can just summon Hyperion. They can run into the Light Pulsar. If you don't have a target, they can just destroy Red MD main phase 2 with the effect of Hyperion. So I feel that that's where the deck suffers, that there are cards that are 1-card outs to it. But aside from that, the deck is really solid, and I really do enjoy this deck. I do have it built. It's just not something I'm maining right now, but I am considering running it. Another bad thing, I guess, could be is that sometimes your solar recharges get clumpy, since you do usually run 2 or 3. Usually it's 3. I like 3 for consistency, but sometimes you draw them and they're dead. You won't draw your Light Swords, or you'll mill them off Trooper. So that's where the deck can suffer. But aside from that, I think the deck is really solid. It has the ability to bring out Photon Strike Bouncer, which is, of course, you know, getting reprinted. It brings out Exabeetle. It brings out Gaia. It can make the 2 rank 5s. It really does have a lot of synergy when you think about it. So that's what I think is what's good, what's bad. And I guess the Yu-Gi-Oh part about it is that you can OTK so easily. You can drop your whole hand and OTK your opponent. Red MD, Light Pulsar, a Dark Flare, another Dragon, you basically win the game. It's like ridiculous. Like I said, other broken plays, you can have Tragodia, drop Red MD, you know, hit your opponent down to below 2,000, make Gustav Max, and win the game. I mean, those plays happen, you guys. They happen. They're very real, and that's something you need to realize is that just because this card seems almost impossible to bring out, there are decks that can do it, and I think that you guys do have to be prepared for that. It is very situational, but trust me, if it does get off, you probably have lost the game. So that's pretty much it on Dragons, you guys. I think the deck's still really solid. I don't think it's as good as it used to be. People say it's starting to fall off, but I feel that with the right build, the deck can do very well. People are still topping with this deck, so I wouldn't count this deck out, and I would say that with the right build, the right player, and the right time of the meta, this deck can be very, very effective, and it's really not that expensive. If you picked up the structure decks, you can get your Pulsars and your Dark Flares there, and the rest of the stuff is basically common. Red MD is common as well, and a lot of these cards are easy to get, so I would say that this is kind of a budget deck. Aside from the extra deck is a little pricey, but with Photon Strike Bouncer being reprinted, it is getting a little bit cheaper. But I would say that it's a very solid deck for anyone that likes dragons or likes the idea of dropping big monsters and they don't feel like running agents. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I think this is really it's a solid deck. It still does what it always has done, and I feel that even with the loss of Future Fusion and a Red MD, the deck is still solid. But I'd like to know your guys' thoughts. Anyone out there that's a Chaos Dragon player, including myself, what do you think of the deck? Do you think the deck can still play the way it used to? Do you think it's still good in the meta? And do you feel that there are ways around the cards that are usually outs to it? So just comment below, you know, thumbs up the video. 150, 200 plus likes would be great. And we'll get on to the next episode, which will most likely be on Insectors. I will be going to Insector school with a couple of my friends to teach me everything about Insectors, because I unfortunately know nothing about bugs, except how to play against them and how to beat them. Aside from that, I don't know anything like their combos and stuff. So it'll take a while, but look forward to that episode coming up very soon. So, you know, just thumbs up the video. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Leave me your feedback below in the comments, and we will wait for the next video. So that's all I got to say, you guys. It's good to feel like my old self again, and I hope that you really enjoyed the video. So that's all I got to say, you guys. Thank you for watching.